In the heart of our modest house, family gatherings were the very essence of joy and connection, a true refuge from the outside world. These gatherings were more than just events. They were a living, breathing tapestry of shared stories, laughter, and cherished memories that seemed to grow richer with each passing year. Every corner of our living room, lovingly adorned with family photos, keepsakes from various vacations, and decorations that had been chosen with care and affection, seemed to echo with the warmth and spirit of countless celebrations and heartfelt moments. The aroma of home-cooked meals, often prepared with secret family recipes passed down through generations, would fill the air, mingling with the sound of clinking glasses, hearty laughter, and heartfelt toasts, creating an atmosphere of profound comfort and deep, abiding joy. I can still picture those evenings vividly. The soft glow of the lamps would cast a cozy light over everyone, highlighting the smiles and the gleam in everyone's eyes. Our living room would come alive with the sounds of children's laughter, their games and playful banter adding a lively energy to the gathering. The gentle hum of conversations among the elders, who would often reminisce about the past or share wisdom with the younger ones, created a soothing background melody. Occasionally, someone would burst into song, leading to an impromptu sing-along that would have everyone joining in, their voices harmonizing in a beautiful, spontaneous chorus. It wasn't just the big celebrations like birthdays, anniversaries, or holidays that stood out in my memory, but the ordinary weekends too. Those simple gatherings, when everyone would come together for a meal, share their week's experiences, and simply enjoy each other's company, held a special kind of magic. The genuine smiles, the heartfelt hugs, the playful teasing, and the supportive pats on the back. All of these moments painted a picture of a life filled with love, support, and unwavering connection. These evenings would often stretch late into the night, with conversations flowing freely, stories being shared, and laughter echoing through the rooms, creating a warm, vibrant atmosphere that felt almost timeless. I remember the small, tender moments that added layers of meaning to these gatherings. The way my mother would fuss over everyone, making sure they had enough to eat and drink, her love and care manifesting in her every gesture. My father, with his gentle humor and kind eyes, always finding a way to make everyone feel at ease and welcome. The way my siblings and I would share knowing glances, silent conversations that spoke volumes about our shared history and deep bond. The presence of our grandparents, their stories from a bygone era, and their unwavering love, which provided a strong foundation for our family. The way our friends, who were like extended family, would seamlessly blend into these gatherings, adding their own unique flavors to the mix. These moments, filled with genuine connection and boundless love, were the bedrock of my existence. They offered a sanctuary of warmth and solace amidst the complexities and challenges of life. In those days, within the walls of our home, surrounded by the people I loved most, I felt an unbreakable bond and an unwavering sense of belonging that I believed would never end. My heart still clings to those memories, even as everything else has changed. They are the reason I held on so tightly to my belief in family and trust, making the betrayal that came later all the more devastating. But in those days, in that warm living room, the sense of togetherness and the sheer joy of being part of such a loving family seemed invincible. The beauty of those gatherings lay in their simplicity and sincerity. It was in the way we all came together, each person bringing their own stories, their own laughter, and their own unique energy, blending into a harmonious whole. It was in the way we celebrated not just the big milestones, but the small victories and everyday joys that made life special. It was in the way we supported each other, offering a listening ear, a comforting hug, or just the silent presence that said, "I'm here for you." These gatherings were a testament to the strength and resilience of our family, a celebration of the bonds that held us together and the love that sustained us through good times and bad. Even now, as I look back on those days, I am filled with a deep sense of gratitude for having experienced such love and connection. These memories have become a part of me, a source of strength and solace that I carry with me, even as I navigate the aftermath of betrayal and the journey of healing. They remind me of what true family means, and they give me hope that, despite everything, the warmth and love that defined those gatherings can be found again. Emily and I met during our college years, a time when life was bursting with potential and dreams. Our connection was instant, built on shared values and a mutual love for life's simple pleasures. After graduation, we married in a small, intimate ceremony surrounded by our closest family and friends. The joy of that day was palpable, the first chapter of a life we were eager to build together. Our first major project as a married couple was renovating the old house we had bought. It was a modest place filled with character and potential, much like our relationship. Together, we rolled up our sleeves and transformed it into a home that reflected our shared vision and love. Every corner of the house held a piece of our effort and a story of our journey. We painted walls, laid down new flooring, and even built a garden where we planted flowers and vegetables. The renovation was more than just a physical transformation. It was a testament to our partnership and dedication to building a life together. Living in our newly renovated home, life seemed idyllic. We celebrated various occasions with joy and enthusiasm. Birthdays were always special, marked by surprise parties, homemade cakes, and heartfelt gifts. We hosted family gatherings, echoing the warmth and laughter that had always defined our families. Holidays were a blend of our traditions, filled with the smell of festive meals and the sound of familiar songs. Each celebration was a testament to our love, a collection of moments that seemed perfect in their simplicity. Our evenings were often spent on the porch, watching the sunset while sharing stories about our day. We would cook dinner together, turning even the most mundane tasks into cherished moments of togetherness. Laughter was a constant companion in our home, a reflection of the joy we found in each other's company. We talked about our dreams for the future, the adventures we wanted to embark on, and the family we hoped to build. There was a sense of security and contentment in knowing that we were building a life filled with love and mutual respect. Emily's laughter was the soundtrack of our lives, a sound that filled the house with warmth and happiness. Her smile could light up the darkest days, and her presence was a constant source of comfort and strength. We were a team, facing life's challenges together and celebrating its joys. Our home was not just a place where we lived, it was a sanctuary where we felt safe, loved, and understood. The times we spent together, whether working on the house, celebrating milestones, or simply enjoying each other's company, were idyllic. These moments were filled with shared laughter and a deep sense of connection. They were the foundation of our life together, memories that I held dear, even as things began to change. The love and happiness we shared in our renovated home were real and profound, a testament to the strength of our bond and the beauty of the life we had built together. Life in our beautifully renovated home had settled into a comforting rhythm. But it wasn't long before I began noticing subtle signs that hinted at an underlying tension. It started during our cherished family gatherings, those same events that used to be filled with unadulterated joy and connection. I began to see small, almost imperceptible changes in Emily's behavior that gnawed at my peace of mind. At first, it was the way Emily and Chris interacted that caught my attention. Chris, a close family friend who had always been a part of our gatherings, seemed to share a certain familiarity with Emily that felt slightly out of place. Their conversations, once casual and light-hearted, now seemed more intense and secretive. I noticed their shared glances, fleeting yet charged with something I couldn't quite put my finger on. It was as if they were communicating in a language that excluded everyone else, including me. During meals, I observed how Emily would laugh a bit too enthusiastically at Chris's jokes, her eyes lingering on him a fraction longer than usual. There were moments when I found them huddled together, speaking in hushed tones, abruptly stopping when I approached. This behavior was new and unsettling, creating a growing sense of unease within me. Family gatherings, once a source of immense joy, began to feel different. I found myself watching Emily and Chris more closely, scrutinizing every interaction. My heart would sink whenever I saw them sharing a private moment or exchanging what seemed like a knowing look. I tried to rationalize these feelings, telling myself that I was overreacting, that there was nothing more than friendship between them. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it grew with each passing day. There were other small signs, too. Emily seemed distracted, often lost in thought, her usual warmth and attentiveness towards me waning. She began spending more time on her phone, quickly turning it off or putting it away whenever I entered the room. There were times when she would be inexplicably late coming home, her excuses sounding less and less convincing. The intimacy that had once defined our relationship was slowly being replaced by a cold distance, a barrier I couldn't seem to breach. The changes weren't just in Emily's behavior, they were in her demeanor as well. She seemed more restless, often irritable over trivial matters, a stark contrast to her usual cheerful and composed self. Our conversations, once filled with shared dreams and laughter, became strained and perfunctory. I felt an invisible wall growing between us, a barrier that left me feeling increasingly isolated and anxious. These signs, though subtle, were impossible to ignore. They created a knot of worry in my chest, a constant feeling of unease that overshadowed the happiness we once shared. I started to question everything, my mind racing with doubts and suspicions. Was it just my imagination, or was there something truly amiss? The love and trust that had been the foundation of our marriage felt fragile, and I was terrified of what I might discover if I looked too closely. As the days turned into weeks, my unease grew into a persistent anxiety. I found myself replaying every interaction between Emily and Chris, searching for clues that might explain the shift in our relationship. The doubt was like a slow poison, seeping into every aspect of my life, clouding my thoughts and eroding my sense of security. I knew I needed to confront these suspicions, but the fear of what I might uncover held me back. The life we had built together, the love we shared, all seemed to hang in a precarious balance, and I was afraid of tipping it over into an irreparable abyss. Driven by the mounting unease and growing doubts, I decided to investigate further, hoping against hope that my suspicions were unfounded. The subtle signs I had noticed during our family gatherings gnawed at me, compelling me to search for a concrete explanation. It was a decision that filled me with dread, knowing that what I might uncover could shatter the trust I had placed in Emily and Chris. One evening, while Emily was out, I found myself alone in our home, with an opportunity to dig deeper. I sat at our dining room table, the very place where we had shared countless meals and intimate conversations. My heart pounded as I gathered my resolve and began searching through Emily's things, starting with her phone, which was left charging in the bedroom. I knew it was a breach of privacy, but the gnawing anxiety left me feeling desperate and justified. As I scrolled through her messages, a sense of foreboding settled over me. Initially, it was just mundane conversations with friends and family, but then I stumbled upon a thread of messages between Emily and Chris. My breath caught in my throat as I read through their exchanges, each message more incriminating than the last. What had started as seemingly innocent banter quickly devolved into flirtatious and intimate conversations. They spoke in a way that was deeply personal, sharing secrets and feelings that were clearly meant for no one else's eyes. The messages were explicit, filled with terms of endearment and intimate details that confirmed the affair I had dreaded. There were plans for secret meetings, coded language that hinted at their private rendezvous, and confessions of affection that made my heart ache. The realization hit me like a physical blow, a mix of anger, disbelief, and profound sadness. The trust that had been the cornerstone of our relationship was now irrevocably shattered. I felt numb as I continued to read, each message driving the knife of betrayal deeper. My mind raced, struggling to process the full extent of what I had uncovered. The love and commitment I had believed were mutual were now tainted by a betrayal so deep that it felt like a knife through my heart. I was overwhelmed by a tidal wave of emotions: hurt, anger, confusion, and a deep sense of loss. The once comforting space of our home now felt like a prison. the walls closing in as I grappled with the weight of the truth. The very house we had built together, filled with our shared dreams and memories, now seemed to mock me with its unspoken secrets. I realized that this discovery was more than just a personal betrayal. It was the unraveling of everything I had thought we were building together. The moments of intimacy and connection that I had cherished now felt like cruel illusions. The laughter and love we had shared seemed to fade into a distant memory, overshadowed by the reality of deceit. I knew that confronting Emily and Chris was inevitable, but the thought of facing them and the ensuing confrontation filled me with a sense of dread. The path ahead was uncertain, and the pain of this betrayal left me questioning everything I had once held dear. As I sat alone in the dimly lit room, clutching the phone with the damning evidence, I felt the weight of the decision before me. The betrayal was undeniable, and the trust that had bound us was now irrevocably broken. The journey of uncovering this truth was just beginning, and with it came the realization that the life I had known was forever altered. The road to confrontation and healing loomed ahead, filled with heartache and difficult choices that I had never anticipated. The weight of the betrayal bore down on me as I prepared for the confrontation. The evidence was irrefutable, and I knew that the time had come to face Emily and Chris. I had collected recordings of their intimate conversations, a chilling testament to the depth of their deceit. The decision to expose them was both a necessary step and an agonizing one, but I was determined to confront the truth head-on. One evening, I arranged for an unexpected meeting at our home, under the pretense of discussing a minor household matter. Emily and Chris arrived separately, both unaware of the storm that was about to unfold. The house, once a haven of warmth and happiness, now felt like a stage set for a dramatic revelation. As they settled into the living room, I took a deep breath, my heart pounding with a mixture of fear and resolve. I began by recounting the subtle signs I had noticed, the growing distance, and the odd interactions between them. The air was thick with tension, and their uneasy glances told me that they knew something was coming. Then, with a trembling hand, I played the recordings. The room filled with the sound of their voices, their intimate conversations echoing with painful clarity. Emily's laughter, which had once been a source of joy, now seemed hollow and tainted. Chris's words, laced with deceit, cut through the silence like a knife. Each recording revealed a new layer of their betrayal, laying bare the depth of their affair. Emily's face flushed with shock and guilt as the recordings played. Her eyes darted between Chris and me, her expression a mix of horror and desperation. Chris, on the other hand, seemed stunned into silence, his usual confidence evaporating in the face of the undeniable evidence. The confrontation was intense. My voice wavered between anger and sadness as I expressed the hurt and disbelief I felt. I laid out the impact of their actions, not just on our relationship, but on the very foundation of trust and respect that we had built together. The room was charged with a palpable tension, the air heavy with the weight of unspoken accusations and broken promises. As the recordings ended, I looked at them, my eyes filled with a mix of pain and determination. The finality of the moment was crushing, the realization that our lives had irrevocably changed, settling over me like a dark cloud. I made it clear that there was no place for them in my life anymore. The betrayal was too deep, and the trust that had been shattered could not be repaired. The expulsion that followed was as dramatic as it was painful. Emily, in tears, pleaded for understanding, trying to explain away her actions, but the damage was done. Chris, with his head hung low, offered no excuses. The reality of their actions had left them both defenseless against the storm of emotions they had unleashed. They gathered their things, the weight of their guilt visible in every movement. The house, once a symbol of our shared life and dreams, now felt like a cold and empty shell. As they left, the finality of their departure marked the end of an era, the end of the life we had once shared. The confrontation and expulsion were necessary, a way to reclaim my dignity and close the chapter on a relationship marred by betrayal. But the emotional cost was high, and the path forward seemed fraught with uncertainty. The hurt and anger that lingered were powerful, but they also marked the beginning of a journey toward healing and rebuilding. The house, now devoid of the presence of Emily and Chris, stood as a testament to the painful but necessary end of a chapter in my life, and the start of a new, uncertain future. The aftermath of the confrontation left a profound emptiness in its wake. The echoes of Emily and Chris's betrayal lingered, haunting the spaces where our shared dreams had once flourished. The house, now a shell of its former warmth, stood as a stark reminder of the upheaval. But amidst the wreckage, a new chapter began, a journey of healing, rebuilding, and rediscovery. In the days following the confrontation, I felt the weight of the betrayal lifting slightly as I started to focus on my own well-being. The initial shock and anger gradually gave way to a deep, aching sadness, but I knew that facing these emotions head-on was crucial for moving forward. I began to seek solace in old friends, those who had been sidelined during the tumultuous period of my marriage. Their presence was a balm for my wounded heart. Reconnecting with them was like rediscovering a part of myself that had been overshadowed by the complexities of my relationship with Emily. Together we shared stories and laughter, reminisced about simpler times, and supported each other through this challenging period. Their unwavering support reminded me of the strength and resilience of the bonds we had once shared. Their friendship became a vital part of my recovery, providing a sense of normalcy and comfort that I desperately needed. Therapy became a cornerstone of my healing process. Speaking to a professional allowed me to untangle the emotional knots and gain perspective on the betrayal. In the safe space of therapy, I explored my feelings of hurt and betrayal, worked through the pain, and began to rebuild my sense of self. The process was slow and often painful, but it was also profoundly liberating. Each session was a step toward understanding my own needs and desires, and learning how to nurture and care for myself in the aftermath of the heartbreak. As time passed, I began to find peace in the small everyday moments that had once seemed insignificant. I took up new hobbies, embraced old passions, and redefined my sense of purpose. The house, though still a reminder of the past, started to transform into a space that reflected my journey of recovery. I redecorated and reorganized, turning the once familiar rooms into a haven of solace and self-expression. Each change was a symbolic act of reclaiming my space in my life. Gradually, I found myself moving forward with a sense of closure. The anger and sadness that had once overwhelmed me gave way to a profound sense of acceptance. I learned to let go of the past and focus on the present, finding gratitude in the lessons learned and the strength gained through adversity. The betrayal, while painful, had also been a catalyst for personal growth and self-discovery. With time, I began to embrace the possibility of new beginnings. The pain of the past no longer dominated my thoughts, and I allowed myself to envision a future filled with hope and opportunity. The journey was far from over, but each step forward brought me closer to a place of inner peace and renewed purpose. The sense of closure came not from forgetting the past, but from integrating it into my narrative and using it to build a stronger, more resilient self. In the end, I found gratitude in the journey itself. The process of rebuilding and healing had taught me about my own strength and capacity for resilience. The support of friends, the insights gained through therapy, and the moments of self-discovery all contributed to a renewed sense of hope and possibility. The road ahead was uncertain, but it was also filled with potential and promise. The chapter of betrayal had closed, and a new chapter, defined by healing, growth, and gratitude, began to unfold.